This time, what a privilege to enjoy to introduce my boss in New York. On January 1st, 2011, Dr. Babatunde Osotimehin, a physician and public health expert, became the 4th executive director of the United Nations Population Fund and the first from Sub-Saharan Africa. He holds the rank of Undersecretary General of the United Nations. Before his appointment, Dr. Osotimehin was Nigeria's Minister of Health. Prior to that, he was Director General of Nigeria's Agency for the Control of AIDS, which coordinates HIV/AIDS work in the country of more than 160 million people. Dr. Osotimehin is a qualified physician from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and went to the University of Birmingham in England, where he got a doctorate in medicine. He was appointed professor at the University of Ibadan in 1980 and was elected provost of the College of Medicine in 1990. Dr. Osotimehin received the Nigerian national honor of Officer of the Order of Niger in December 2005. But for all of us who have met Dr. Babatunde, he is simply known to us as Prof. At UNFPA, he has introduced major reforms to make the fund more focused and results-oriented, as well as intensified efforts to promote the rights and ability of young people to build a better world in the context of sexual and reproductive health. He has been a champion of Family Planning 2020, and as many of you know and have personally experienced, he possesses a unique quality and comfort level in either dealing with the heads of states, field workers, or even the beneficiaries of reproductive health programs. Your Excellencies, friends, colleagues, our global leader and champion, Prof.
Thank you very much, Oyin. And when a man stands up and talks about 10 bosses, you must wonder, who does he report to? And does he do it by matrix system? I wonder. But thank you very much, Oyin. And let me start by saluting our esteemed Prime Minister, Haile Mariam, who is the chair of the African Union, Madam Zuma, the chair of the African Union Commission, also a physician, and a leader in this field. Dr. Kesete, thank you for your leadership. I'm going to come back to some of the things you said. Mr. Daniels, I don't think you should worry about pronouncing my name. It's a common feature. When I was in school in England, if I went to a tutorial and we all sat down and the tutorial teacher starts to pronounce Dr. White, yes, I'm here. Dr. Brown, I'm here. Dr. Owen, I'm here. And then when it gets to a point where it becomes a phasic and says doctor, and it goes off, I just say I'm here because I know that's my name. Chris Elias, my friend, and the representative of the now generation, Catherine. Thank you very much for what you said. Now, I'm so happy to be here because I think that being part of this meeting, which is putting together the largest number of people that has ever attended the Family Planning Summit, is a tremendous thing. And I think it is not just a coincidence that is happening in Africa, because I'm going to talk about that later. Because Africa needs family planning. And we must make sure it happens in Africa. Let me also say that, as Onya said, 350 young people here, given the fact that one of the achievements and one of the deliverables we want in this meeting is about young people. That in itself is one thing that we must celebrate. I want to start by thanking the government of Ethiopia and the organizers. And Oyi, you deserve a special thanks. Please clap for him. And it's so good for us as UNFPA to be one of the stakeholders and to be here today. The history of the conference comes as an important moment in time with good momentum. And as I said, UNFPA has been part of this from the very beginning. Kampala, Dakar. Now, we've had and we were part of the FP 2020 movement. And I think that's generated a lot of momentum. And let me thank Chris Elas and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and DFID for providing leadership for that. And then, of course, now we are in Addis. And basically, I think that the momentum we've created, in addition to what UNFPA has done in the past and continues to do, are things that we must celebrate. We have worked in Ethiopia, and I want to congratulate Ethiopia for what it's been able to achieve, taking this contraceptive prevalence rate to 27.3% in 2011, from 13.9% in 2005. And of course, being able to achieve the MDG4, I think it's also something which we must celebrate. Haiti, where we work, recovering from a devastating earthquake, has taken its CPR from 6% to 24.8%. And now that in 2009, 2006, and now 31% to 2012. I think one of the most dramatic has been in Laos, which has gone from 8% to 43%. So basically, things are happening around the world, and I believe that all of us need to celebrate this and understand that we collectively have a responsibility to be able to do this better. Now, let me now speak to something which I feel passionate about, but which I believe gives us the opportunity, because we are in Africa, to talk about. And that is the issue of the demographic dividend. Africa is right to go. Africa today is growing fast. 7 out of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. But that's not enough. That's from extractive industry. Africa needs to grow its young people, and Africa needs to build human capacity. And so the youth of this continent, which is a large contingent and a large sector of population, needs to have all that it has to have. Africa must harness this and must do so in such a way that it can have a second growth after the extractive industry must have gone. Now, but we cannot do that if we don't invest appropriately. Invest in education, education fit for jobs, education fit for market, skills development. We must ensure that young people are able to hold their own, their agency, be who they want to be. And it can only happen if they can exercise their rights. It can only happen if they can exercise their rights. But I think more important, which is what I would like you to go away with today, is that for as long as we marry our girls out at 12, for as long as we have teenage pregnancy in the kind of epidemic we have it in this continent, for as long as we have such a violation of the rights of the girl child, we're not going to get there. But I believe we can, and I believe we will. I don't think there's any parent in this audience who will be happy to see his 11 or 12-year-old get a fistula or be paralyzed because they are children. Let us stop teenage pregnancy. Let us stop teenage marriages. And we can do it. Much of what we know today about adolescents is about the 15-year-old and above. We don't know much about the 10 to the 14. They disappear. Many of them are married off. Many of them don't have any agency of their own. And I think we must stop that, and we must make sure that we would continue to look after them and make sure that they become part of this. Now, let me now come to a point where I believe I need to talk to you about something which you might have seen, and that is that in the last few weeks, we actually launched a report on the SWOP, a State of the World Population Report, which talks to teenage pregnancy. 7.2 million girls a year get pregnant in the world. 7.2. I mean, can you imagine? 200,000 every day. Now, we need to stop this. We know what to do, and we must do it. Now, and I think that that SWOP report is not just about pregnancy, it's about the rights, it's about enabling women and girls, it's about gender equality, and it leads us to look at things in a totally different way. When I talk about what we, all of us collectively, are going to do in the post-2015, we would all have to come back to that. Investments in girls, investments in their education, investments in their health and sexual reproductive health and comprehensive sexuality education. Let me now depart from that and thank you all, because in 1994, 179 countries around the world decided to sign off on the Cairo Agenda. And the 179 countries have since reviewed what they've done in 20 years. Indeed, we have actually 180 countries that have reviewed it. And what they've come up with are really outstanding issues around sexual and reproductive health and rights. And clearly, from what we have, from the global report and various things, the world has recognized the importance of investing in women and family planning. The world has also come to understand that these are things that we need to do, just making sure that we can and should be able to invest properly in girls and in women. Now, so going forward and being able to do what we have to do, there are a couple of things that I want to leave with you today. The ICPD and the Cairo Agenda Review should not be seen in isolation. I think it's auspicious that we're doing this at a point where the world is actually looking at the next development agenda. But before we get there, I want to remind you that today we still have 700 days to meet the MDGs. So let's go back. Let's go back to our countries. Let's go back to our missions. Let's make sure that women still get access to family planning. Let's make sure they stop dying giving birth. Let's make sure girls stay in school. Let's make sure that they reach their full potential. 700 days is a long time. We can still make a difference with that. But beyond that, I want to leave with you three things. Three things and three opportunities for all of us to input and address and affect the next development agenda. First of all, an overarching principle of human rights is important. Without rights, there cannot be development. Without rights, there cannot be development. And there must be equity. There must be social justice, and there must be gender equality. Those are overarching principles. Now, when it comes to specific goals, I'm going to leave with you. UNFPA aspires to have a youth goal, because it's only a youth goal that can address all of the issues that affect young people. Their education, their health, their comprehensive sexuality education, access to contraception, their choices, their rights, and their ability to get jobs.